So I have been absent from my channel for a while, but now I've finally decided to come back and make some more videos. So I've decided to resume my video session with Linux. Now I will tell you how to install Linux, especially Ubuntu operating system on virtual machine on your computer. So any subsequent things that we'll do in the future videos, we'll do on that VirtualBox Linux operating system. If you want to install any other types of Linux like Fedora or Mint or OpenSUSE, it's entirely up to you. If you know what you're doing, you can go ahead and do that, but I will specifically work on Ubuntu operating system. So to get you started, let's first download two things. You're going to need to download Ubuntu ISO from Ubuntu website and VirtualBox from VirtualBox website, obviously. So to get Ubuntu, just go to ubuntu.com/download. I'll put all the links down in the description box below. So once you're in ubuntu.com/download, just click on Ubuntu desktop. Now there are different types of Ubuntu that they release. One of them is called LTS. LTS basically means long-term support. If you install the long-term support version of Ubuntu, you don't have to worry about not having security updates and stuff like that for about, I think, 5 years. Yep, it's about 5 years. But non-LTS version will expire, I think, every 6 months or so. Oh, I'm sorry, it's 9 months. So I will go ahead and install the 15.10. If you want, you can install 14.04 LTS, that's also okay. I'm going to choose 64-bit. So let's go ahead and download that. You can simply do not now, take me to the download. If you don't want to contribute, if you want, you can pay with PayPal. So for me, it's going to take about 4 minutes to download. So while this is downloading, I want you to go ahead and also install VirtualBox. Just go ahead and install VirtualBox for the operating system that you're using. For me, I'm using Linux, so I would install VirtualBox 5.0.14 for Linux host. If you're using Windows, then you can download for Windows. For me, I've already installed VirtualBox, so I will not be doing that, but it's a very straightforward process. So go ahead and download VirtualBox and install it on your computer. And after you install it, if you open VirtualBox, just close it. And I also want you to install the VirtualBox extension pack. It will give you extra features on VirtualBox, which would be very important later on. So just click on all supported platforms and it will start downloading the VirtualBox extension pack as well. And once it is done, just click on the downloaded link and it will install the extension pack as well. Now while it is downloading, I also wanted to mention one very important thing about 15.10 on Ubuntu. Right now I'm running 15.10 on my computer as a default operating system. One of the advantages of 15.10 over 15.04 that I found is that it has a very good support for UEFI boot system. If your computer is fairly new, I think newer than 2011, 2012, most likely your computer have UEFI instead of old BIOS. So if you're looking to have a dual boot with Windows and Linux, 15.10 have very good support for that. So if previous version of Ubuntu is not working, try 15.10, it should work flawlessly. Also 15.10 have very good support for installation using a USB device. So Ubuntu ISO has finished downloading. Just know where you have downloaded the ISO file. For me, it's always going to be in my downloads folder. right here. So let's go ahead and install Ubuntu on our virtual machine. I hope you have already installed virtual machine on your computer. It will have pretty similar interface as I have here. You probably will not have these two other operating system. This panel should be empty. So now I'm going to install Ubuntu here on my VirtualBox. So go ahead and click on new and just type in, give any name you want. I've just given it Ubuntu 15.10. It can have a space. This is just a name. You don't have to do export mode. Just click on next. Now this is how much RAM you want to give it to this Ubuntu. My computer has a lot of memory. I have 16 gigs of RAM on my computer. So I'm going to give it a little bit extra RAM, but if you don't have a lot of memory to spare, you can give 2 gigabytes of RAM as well. I'm going to give 4 gigabytes here. And to create new virtual hard disk now, and click on create. VDI is fine. Now dynamically allocated is better option in my opinion here. Fixed size will simply reserve the amount of space you want for you want to beforehand, but dynamically allocated file grows over time for the virtual hard disk that you are going to allocate for your operating system. So the basic idea is basically you are not using more hard disk memory on your computer than it is necessary. So just do dynamically allocated. I recommend that. So here you're going to give the total size of hard disk you want for your Ubuntu installation. I would recommend 20 gigs, 8 gigs is too small. So I'm going to give 25 gigabytes right now. If you want to save this in a particular location, you can click on this icon here and find a place where you want to store. For me, this is the right place, so I'm just going to store it here on my secondary drive. But if you have enough space on your solid state drive on your computer, that will give you much better performance when you're running this operating system. So click on save. So that's the full path. Now here it says Windows. I don't want it to store in Windows. I want to put it on Linux instead. And go ahead and click on create. So now you have Ubuntu. It is grouped with Windows here, so I don't want that. I'll simply have to drag it outside. There we go. Now it will create this space with the default options. So I'm going to change that a little bit. So go to settings and then go to system. So these are the options that you set before. Now if you have multi-processor system, you can assign more than one processor. So I'm going to give it to CPU here. Now in terms of acceleration, if all these are checked by default, then you can simply leave it at that. Now display, I also have extra 2 gigs of display memory or graphics memory, so I'm just going to give it everything I can. And I also try to enable 3D acceleration. I don't think it will allow me to do. Yep, it says invalid selection detected. So this 2D video acceleration only is supported on Windows system, so we'll not do that. We'll only do 3D acceleration. Now the important part here is you have to go to storage. Now here you have to tell Windows to boot from CD when it is booting for the first time. So where it says controller IDE, you already should have a disk that says empty. If not, just click on this little icon, adds optical drive. It will create an empty disk drive here. Now here you can click on live CD DVD. So you'll have to select the ISO that you downloaded earlier. So go here, choose optical virtual disk drive, So it was downloaded to my home directory in downloads, and this is the file that I downloaded. It's an ISO file. So just double click on that, or just click once and click open. That'll work as well. And just click OK if you are happy with all other settings. If you want to change your network options, audio, I'm not going to go in details about these network options here. Maybe in the future video when I'm talking about internet security and stuff like that, but not right now. So USB 2.0 controller is fine here. Now if you want to share any file between your host computer and your guest computer, your guest operating system is the operating system that you're about to install, and your host operating system is the operating system that you're running right now. And if you want to do shared folder between those two operating systems, you can assign one here by clicking this button, which I'm not going to do right now. Maybe we'll talk about that in the future as well. Just click OK. So now you have all the desired settings. Now let's go ahead and install Ubuntu 15.10. So click on Start. Now since you don't have anything on your virtual hard drive, it will boot from the ISO like it was actually a CD that it was booting from if it was a real computer. So it puts into this GNOME interface, and you can simply try Ubuntu, but I'm just going to go ahead and click on Install Ubuntu instead. Click on Install Ubuntu. So these are the requirements that you need to have. That's why 8 gigs was too small, because it needs 6.5 gigabytes just to install this operating system. You don't need to check this because it will simply take longer for the installation, and neither this one, same thing. Click on Continue. So now this, we already have a disk that we created. So what it will do is it will format that disk, and it will create partitions, default partition format that it deems necessary, which I usually don't do. So I would go with something else, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. So now this is the virtual disk that we have made it available for our Ubuntu installation. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do create partition table. It will simply say that we are going to create a partition table, and everything that was there before will be removed. Since we don't have anything before, it's okay, we can continue. So now it says free space 26843 megabytes. We created 25 gigs, which is basically this amount in megabytes, because unlike what a lot of people say, 1 gigabyte is not 1000 megabytes, it's actually 1024. So now you have this free space. We are going to allocate some amount for swap space, which is kind of important. And even about swap space, if you want to know more, let me know. I'll make an entirely different video, because that is also a pretty interesting topic to talk about in terms of operating systems. So I'm going to assign about 4 gigabytes for swap area. And rest, I'm going to give ext4 journaling file system and mount point to be root. Now and I'll also make this to be a primary partition. Now the reason why I did something else here instead of the default operation is by default it will create a different partition for boot, a different partition for home, and different partition for other stuff like root folders and stuff like that, which I don't think is necessary, and I just find that too messy. I would rather have a single partition and different folders inside that partition, because I find that much easier to manage. But the default configuration is a safe option, because if you happen to delete everything on your home directory by accident, you'll not be losing anything on your system drive. So you can leave everything else just as it is and click on install now. Let's go. And it will simply tell you what you're going to do. You can click continue and let it do its magic while you are setting different things on your new operating system. So I'm in New York, so New York, English keyboard, US type, not a problem. Now here you create a user, so I'm just going to create a user for me. Computer name, that's fine. Pick a username, that's also fine. Choose a password, it's entirely up to you what password you want to make. If you want, you can encrypt your home folder. Right now I don't find that is also absolutely necessary. So click continue. It will start installing stuff. It have already started actually, while you're doing those other stuff. But once it is done, it will let you know. Okay, so the installation is complete and you can click on restart now, but I would rather just close this and actually sort. Okay, it will restart anyways. The reason, okay, I don't think that was a restart, so I'm just going to go ahead and shut down. And I want to make sure that the disk, optical virtual disk that we assigned has been removed before we do anything else. Because what I've seen happen before is people have installed this and it keeps on booting with the CD, and they will do some things on their virtual operating system. They think that they're making permanent change, but once they restart, it again boots from the CD, and the previous changes that they try to make, everything is poof, just gone. Now this error that you see here, we will fix that error. It is because I believe it's because of the nested paging. So for now it's not willing to shut down properly, so I'm just going to go ahead and send a shutdown signal or simply power off the machine. So we'll go to settings, system, acceleration, and disable nested paging. Click OK. Oh, also let's make sure this is removed. Alright, now we should boot into our installed Ubuntu system. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so I've logged into my Ubuntu system, so this is now installed. Keyboard shortcuts, if you want to remember those, just close it for now. Now you might notice that the screen is not as you want it. You might want it to have full screen or even the full size of this particular window and not just a small segment of it. So to have that possible, just go to device and insert guest edition CD image, and you will not have that option, I think, if you do not install the extension pack, I believe, but I may be wrong in that part. So just click on run here. So your super user password is the password you created for you as a user. Authenticate. Now this terminal is something that you will be using very frequently on Linux. And I am not a big fan of this default terminal here. So while it is doing this, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to install a better terminal called Terminator. It does not come with Arnold voice though, otherwise it would simply say, "Come with me if you wanna live." That was a terrible Arnold impression. So let's go ahead and install Terminator. So to install, you simply do sudo apt-get install Terminator. Your password. Click Y for yes. It will install a lot of libraries. Now it's a good idea actually to always update your computer before you do any installation. So I'll show you how to update as well. So here VirtualBox guest edition installation is complete. So I'm going to simply press return, which is the enter on the keyboard. Alright, now to update your computer, again sudo apt-get update. It is checking all the repository for available updates right now. Then do sudo apt-get upgrade. And Y. It takes a long time the first time you're trying to install the updates. And finally, to do any kernel or security updates, you simply do dist upgrade. Yes. So while it is doing this upgrade, I'm just going to go ahead and configure my Terminator, which we installed earlier. So simply press on Windows key and you'll get to the search bar and start typing whatever you want to search. Okay, that's the Terminator. So this is the Terminator, and the reason why I like Terminator than any other ones is because I can have multiple sessions on the same window split into different boxes like this. It's pretty cool. So I usually like my terminals to have some kind of transparency. Infinite scroll back is very important for me. Transparent background to 0.8 or 9, depends. And colors, I always go with green on black. Click OK. So that's Terminator. You can see whatever is going on in the background when you're doing things on the Terminator. Okay, the update is complete here. I'm going to exit out of this terminal and I'm going to reboot. We just installed guest additions, so from now you can see the screen getting much better, and it will also run a bit smoother than before. This is not the kind of smooth I was talking about, but yeah, this one. So Terminator, and yep, so that's it. That's the basic installation of Ubuntu and getting started with Linux. In the next video I will teach you how you can install web server on this Ubuntu and start making your own website. So we'll go into web development direction, but if you guys want, I can also do some simple Linux tutorial on how to use the terminal, the commands, and I can also go through what you can do with Linux once you have this operating system installed on your computer. Just let me know down in the comments below, and whatever you guys want to learn, just let me know. Give that like button a click. Please subscribe for more videos. I'll make 2 videos a week here. I also have second channel for movies reviews that I do, which is my hobby, watching movies basically. And if you want to go and check that out, that would be great. If you have any suggestions, comments, concerns, let me know, and I'll try to improve when I can. And subscribe and share this video. I'll see you guys next time, and you guys are awesome for watching this video.